Hi, hello, how are you? I am Scout and welcome to the Book Scout, and today I'm going to be starting a new series on my channel, which is the Taylor Swift Book Club. The kind of basic overview premise is recommending 13 books based off of a specific Taylor Swift album, or kind of that phrase, I've heard people say it before of like, I'm in my, and then they say 1989 era, or I'm in my Reputation era, and so I want to recommend 13 books that you should read if you're in that era of your life. They are not going to be one-to-one, where it's, this one represents Welcome to New York. It's not going to be that, but it will be 13 books that follow the major themes that are present in that album. And so, kind of before I get into the books, I wanted to go over the major themes for people who maybe weren't around at the time, weren't fans, weren't really watching. And to kind of talk about 1989, you kind of have to talk about Red beforehand. So Red is her album that predates 1989. And it came with really lukewarm reception. It was not well loved. A lot of people made fun of the dubstep and the pop kind of crossover. There were songs that were super popular at the time, but it was not a commercial success in the way that 1989 will eventually be. It was still a successful album, but it was not as successful as I think a lot of people sometimes think it is today. And I think that's just kind of, with history and hindsight, people feel a lot warmer towards that album. The general consensus at the time was you either need to go fully country or you need to go fully pop. You can't keep sitting in the middle. And she decided oh, I'm so silly. So she decided that she was going to fully go over to pop. And so she paired up with Max Martin and Shellback and Jack Antonoff to make a pop album. And it was her highest performing album for a really long time. And it's kind of, she has called it her Imperial era. Yeah, I guess. I would say any time period when there's like kind of Taymania, or like the press is constantly talking about Taylor Swift, where people who don't like Taylor Swift are hearing about her every day. That's when she's in her Imperial era. I think it's ever moving through time, but she has really said that this is kind of her Imperial era. And it kind of had a couple of core tenets, which was like girl boss and feminism, reinvention and coming of age, and I love New York City. That was like the three primary kind of themes and vibes of 1989. And I want to go like a little in depth on those. I love New York City is really self-explanatory. It is, she moved to New York City and she loved it. She loved New York City. And this coming of age reinvention, half of that had to do with the country to pop, but also she like cut her hair really short. She moved out on her own for the first time. She was kind of getting to exist almost like in an adult way that she didn't get to previously. So there was kind of this period of self-discovery and reinvention that she had. And so I picked a couple of books that had that. And then the girl boss and the feminism. Taylor Swift said that she like found out about feminism in 2014, or like understood how it applied to her in 2014. And so she kind of had this awakening of like, I'm the business girl. And so I picked a couple of books that give like girl boss and like feminism, because those really overlapped. That was a huge part of her marketing for 1989 was I'm a feminist and I'm a girl boss. And we don't really see that a ton in her marketing now. I think we see like the businesswoman in her marketing, but we do not see specifically girl boss, which is a different kind of thing. I probably shouldn't keep talking because I'm already looking at the time code and I'm like, oh, I have 13 books I have to talk about. So I'm going to get into the 13 books. I'm going to grab the one right off the top. This is Mr. Right is Dead by Rona Jaffe. Sorry, I'm in a new filming location because I wanted my video quality to be nicer and also there to be less audio interference. But I do fear it has made it harder to see the book covers. So terribly sorry about that. Also, sorry about the editing. I can't do it. I'm really bad at it. I'm trying. Okay, let's get back to the book. Mr. Right is Dead by Rona Jaffe. So if you've seen my favorites video, you know this is one of my favorite books of all time. I love this book. This is about a bunch of women who live in the city and kind of like about their dating and kind of getting to explore themselves. I kind of thought this kind of fit in the like I love New York theme as well as like the reinvention, self-discovery. It's a bunch of phenomenal short stories. I really love this, and I think this is a great read if you're kind of interested in Taylor Swift and you want a book that kind of vaguely resembles her. I don't like to pick books that are like, this feels like a Taylor Swift song. Like, I like to pick books that give off the same imagery or themes, and I think this book really does. So I put this one in there. To kind of go with the feminist, girl boss, I picked Bad Feminist by Roxane Gay. I read this book a little bit earlier in this year, and I thought it was really well written, and I was really interested in Roxane Gay and really wanted to read like an updated version of this. This book is slightly dated because it came out in 2014, which I thought was perfect for this book club because it's a time capsule of like feminism in 2014, which is so interesting hearing kind of the difference. I have a favorite section that I bookmarked because I wanted to bring up. I don't know what I just dropped. Oh, it's just a note. But this was one of the sections that like really got me. It was called Dear Young Ladies Who Love Chris Brown So Much They Would Let Him Beat Them. This section was crazy. I mean, there are so many sections in this book where I am having a great time of like, this is so interesting. That's why even though this wasn't a book that I was super in love with when I read it, I still want to read more from Roxane Gay because I just found her writing so compelling. And so I thought this would be a really great book to kind of understand the time frame in which Taylor Swift was making 1989. Okay. I might have a favorite author and like a preference. This is The Best of Everything by Rona Jaffe, the same lady who wrote Mr. Right is Dead. And this has been kind of allotted now as like Sex and the City before Sex and the City. And I completely agree. I read it and I loved it. It is about a bunch of women who move to New York City and become like working women, girl bosses, and like them and their love lives. And it is so good. It is long, which shocked me because Rona Jaffe, like this was my first foray into reading her books. This book is really short. This book is like 400 pages. It is still so worth it. I really, really enjoyed this book. And I just think it is great. It's mainly three girls. They mention a lot of women in this, but it's mainly Greg, Caroline, and April. I almost called her Amber, and I knew that was wrong. And April. And it's about their experiences. They work at like a Fabian publishing company. I think that's how you pronounce it. Obviously, I've only read it written down. But I just really have enjoyed this book, and I thought it really gave 1989 like energy and kind of those feelings that Taylor Swift wanted people to feel when they listened to the album. So I thought this would be a great book. Another book, this one blew me away. Okay. This is Everything I Know About Love by Dolly Alderton. This is a memoir. Oh my goodness. Okay. I received this for Christmas like a couple of years ago from my sister, and my sister said, I didn't like it. Here you go. Because she saw it on my list. And I was expecting that I was going to hate it too. And I read it and I was like, this is great. I don't know what my sister was doing. I think maybe she read it at a bad time in her life because this book is phenomenal. This book, if you asked me like, could you match like a book to a song? This is New Romantics. This is New Romantics in book form. It is phenomenal. I love it. It's made me want to read more Dolly Alderton. I really love it. Also, apparently it's streaming on Peacock. I don't have Peacock, but I would love to see this in a show form. This is so good. I love this so much. It is a memoir about her life, and every so often she does like an everything I know about love at blank age, and she has these stories about different parties she goes to, different dates, and then also just like stories about time periods of her life. And I loved this. This is so good. I have recommended it to so many friends. I actually had to borrow it back from a friend. I gave her my copy to read, and then I was making this video and I was like, can I have my copy back? Like I'll give it back to you. Like, I just need to borrow it. So this book is phenomenal. I recommend it to so many people in my life. I just think this is great. And maybe if this is like a takeaway of like, I only read one book from this video, if you love new romantics, this is the book to read. Okay. I have another memoir. I have 3 memoirs in total on here. This is also my favorites video. This is Nora Ephron's I Feel Bad About My Neck and Other Thoughts on Being a Woman. This feels so coming of age, so reinvention, self-discovery. I love this book. I have spoken about it a little bit and about how it made me feel really connected to people from a different time period. Nora Ephron's not like considerably older or anything, but oftentimes I feel like the struggles that my generation face are very different than prior generations, and this book made me feel so earnestly connected to other generations and made me feel like less alone. And I really loved this book, and maybe it was just the time that I read it. I actually recently reread it and I loved it again, and I was like, this is so magical and so important. This is often a book I just tell people to read, and I'm like, if you're in your 20s and a woman, I think you would really enjoy reading this. And I stand by that, which is also why I think it's such a 1989 book, because 1989 like feels like I'm in my 20s, the album. You feel really happy some days and really sad other days. You feel really confused and lost. And this feels like that. And it's not written about her 20s specifically. It's just written about her life. And I just found it to be really great. Also, just like a little fun fact, when I was editing my first video, I realized that her back picture, like I knew she had a back picture, she's covering her neck in this one because she feels bad about her neck. Just like a fun little thing I noticed about this. It cracked me up when I saw it. It was just me laughing though. The next one in my list is Black Swans by Eve Babbitt. So Black Swans is about a bunch of women who are black swans in their life. And so this is a bunch of short stories, and they're like semi-autobiographical. Kind of the thing about Eve Babbitt, which you have to know, is that some stuff is true and based off of her real life that she will say is fictional, and some things are just fictional. And I don't have the knowledge of Eve Babbitt's to know what is fictional versus not. So this is such an interesting book. And it's set in the 1980s, which was also another big theme of 1989. It was based off of 80s sound. You'll also see a lot of these books have 80s influence to them, specifically because 1989. But I really liked this book. I thought it was really interesting to hear about these different women. There was a specific story, and I cannot even remember the name of it. I almost want to say it's called Black Swan. It's like the titular story. No, it's not. It's Tangoland. I don't know why I thought there's... Oh, and Black Swans. I also liked the Black Swans one. But Tangoland, Weird August, I loved a lot at the end. Expensive Regrets was also one that I really loved. I just thought that this really felt right of like coming of age and reinvention, because a lot of these women are kind of like the black sheep of their communities. That's kind of like the play with Black Swans. And so I thought that was kind of interesting because Taylor talked a lot about feeling really like the uncool girl. And 1989 is like the time period when she like became the cool girl. She was not cool before that, and then she was cool. And so it kind of mirrors her experience that she had as well. And so I just really liked this one and thought that this would be a really great book for 1989. The next one is also giving 80s. It's Connie. This is a memoir. It's by Connie Chung. Something is on my book. I can get it off. And another kind of fun thing, I love to point this out when I have it. I have a signed copy. So Connie Chung was a reporter who experienced a lot of sexism actually in the reporting industry. She talks about it very astutely and very nicely. I would not be speaking as nicely as she is about people. And she really felt to me like girl boss, feminism, and sexism, dealing with those issues, which was all things that were prevalent in 1989 and in her press interviews and marketing. And this book is so well written. Of course it is, because she is a journalist. And she really believes in like the old craft of journalism, and it made me really sad to read this because I was like, I wish we had journalists who felt like this about journalism nowadays. I don't know if people feel this way about journalism, and I loved this. I think I read this in like 2 days. It's like not a short book. It is so well written. It is so good. I loved this. The last I think it's the last section. It's called like the Decade of Connie or something. I really can't remember what it was called. Living Legacy. Sorry. It's called Living Legacy. I cried. I cried during the Living Legacy section of this book, which is where she talks about an article that was made, which I believe is called The Age of Connie, or at some point was called The Age of Connie. And basically she was contacted by a younger reporter after she had been ousted from her career due to sexism. Basically, they chose a male news anchor over her. And she's contacted by this younger reporter who's like, my parents named me after you because they loved you and looked up to you as an immigrant and as an Asian American woman and how you achieved your dreams. Will you come and do this interview with me and also do this photo shoot before the article? And when she gets there, it's a bunch of women. I'm gonna cry about it again. It's a bunch of women who are named after her that are there, and she gets to talk to them all. And it makes me cry to think about someone having that deep of an impact on a community and how important representation is. So this book is really good. I need to calm down because I cannot have a mentee be on camera because that's not professional. But this is a really good book. The whole rest of the book is completely amazing. It is not just that last chapter, but that last chapter really got me at the end, and I loved this book. I'm so happy I have a signed copy. That's so cool. But yeah, that is another book that I thought was so 1989. A lot of it's talking about the 80s, feminism, sexism, and girl bossery, because if we're gonna use the term girl boss, realistically, Connie is the girl boss of the world. And I mean that in the most positive way ever, not in the mean, oh, you're such a girl boss. I mean it in the literal way. She is girl boss. I love her. Okay. I need to pivot. This one's gonna be so stupid. Okay, I don't have a physical copy of this book. I rented it from my library, and I tried to re-rent it for this video, and I could not get it in time. This is not gonna work. I love that I thought it would. I didn't even think about glare. Okay, so I'm just not even gonna hold the book up. I put a picture of, oh, it does work. It does work. Okay, so this is The Odd Woman and the City by Vivian Gornick. I'm gonna put this down now because I can't be holding my computer for that whole section. Okay, I read this book and it's really short too. It's very digestible, and she kind of talks about being the odd woman. And it turns out, you find out partway through the book that when she says odd woman, she means feminist, which was crazy. I was like, oh, this is Taylor Swift. Because it's all about her living in New York, her love for New York, and existing as the odd woman, the feminist in the city. And it is so good. I loved this book. I do want to own a copy. And specifically, this cover. This cover's gorgeous. I'm trying not to show my cat in the video, in the reflection, but I loved this so much. This was so good. I think I'm gonna like request for my birthday or something to get a copy of it because I loved it so much. It was so good. The next one is gonna be on my Kindle. I have 3 of the books on my Kindle and because I just don't own physical copies. I don't tend to own a lot of books on Kindle. I actually only own these 3 books on Kindle. So the first one that I wanted to talk about, which of course I did not prep. Why would I prep it? Okay, so the next book is on my Kindle. Sorry, I had to cut because I realized I fully did not like move to the cover page when I like clicked into the book, which you guys don't want to see the last page of the book. So I don't know what I was doing. I just wasn't planning. Okay, so the next book also, it's very girl boss. It is glossy. It is Ambition, Beauty, and the Inside Story of Emily Weiss's Glossier. Glossier? I think it's Glossier. Okay, so I picked this book specifically because Glossier was so 2014. Like I remember the millennial pink packaging was like everywhere and everyone wanted to be a Glossier girl. And you wanted to do a shelfie to show off your skincare and everything. So it felt really 2014, which is when the album came out. It felt really that, and also it is so like about the girl boss and kind of it explores the themes of what does it mean to be a girl boss and can you truly be a girl boss or like win as a girl boss, which I thought was such an interesting conceit. The writer of the book, there was some controversy because I looked on the reviews because I was like, I really liked this, and I saw that it didn't have as positive reviews as I was expecting it to, so I like read some of the reviews and people were saying that they thought that the reporter that did the book had too much of an attachment and like relationship with Emily Weiss to really give a serene critique, which if you read the book, that's kind of her point. And so I was kind of shocked, or I guess that's not her point, but I'll get into it, I'll explain it. But the book talked a lot about how like women CEOs are critiqued for being unrelatable, for being rude, or any perceived wrong by them. And the reporter was kind of arguing like people are being too hard on Emily Weiss for the issues. Like, yes, there's issues, and yes, the issues should be critiqued, but like the level in which people are coming after Emily Weiss is inappropriate. And then the reviews were literally like, she didn't go in on her enough. And I was like, oh, like this is what she's talking about. Okay, I only have 3 more books left. They weren't in any particular order, but I do have another book for my favorites, which is Happy Hour by Marlo. I think it's Marlo Granados. This book is phenomenal. This is also like centering New York and female friendship and kind of like women coming of age. So this follows 2 women who are on a like tourist visa into the United States, and a tourist visa basically means that you can't work. So you're like only there for pleasure. And so these women are here, but they like can't afford to live. And so they are doing these like odd jobs under the table to try and continue to afford their lifestyle while trying to live like their best New York life. And it's so interesting. And when I initially heard the premise, I was like, oh no, like really bad things are gonna happen to these women. And I wasn't super intrigued. But it's fine. It's like fun. And I liked that a lot. I didn't really need a book that was like, now really bad things are happening to these young women. I was so excited when it was like, no, good things are happening here. I was like, yes, okay. This is I read it by the pool. I remember I was like sitting and I was reading my library's copy, like sitting by the pool, and I was like, this is it. I love this. I love this book. I recommend it to so many people. I just got back from a friend who read it. She really loved it too. I think this is such a phenomenal book. I don't know if Marlo Granados has written anything else. I think this was her like debut novel. This is phenomenal if it is. If it's not, still phenomenal, but like I just think if this is your debut novel, jealous. But I really loved this book, and so I thought this was great. Okay, the next one, again on the Kindle, which I I was gifted this one on Kindle, and I'm like, man, I wish I owned a physical copy because I love this book. It is Animals by Emma Jane Unsworth. I heard about this book because Margot Robbie said it was one of her favorite books, and I was so interested in what books Margot Robbie likes. And so I read it. It's so good. Okay, so it follows two women who are kind of in their like late 20s, early 30s, and they are dealing with a seismic issue. One of them is engaged to be married, and they are like party girls. Like Charlie XCX would be out at the club with them, bumping it. They are like insane party girls. They are constantly making horrible decisions. I am fighting for my life when I was reading this book. The amount of times I was like, oh, like gasping, hating on these women. But I was like, I have to keep reading. I have to keep going, as I'm like begging these women to make a good choice for once. And it's about like how their relationship is impacted by the one girl being engaged and what this means for their friendship. And I was like talking to my husband about it, and he was like, you hate this book. And I was like, no, I don't. This book is making me feel things, and that's so important to me. I was like, I'm mad at these characters. That does not mean I think this book is bad. It's just like this book is making me feel so many things. And the ending, loved this book. It was great. I almost like went into a reading slump after reading this book though, because it was so good that I was like, no one can match this. No one can match it. It is great. I love this book. It's so good. But yes, definitely Animals. I'll hold it back up. Animals. I loved it. It was so great. Okay. The last book. I don't know why I saved this one for last. This one's another Eve Babbitt's. It's Sex and Rage. So this book is also about New York, and it is about a main character who lives in California, which is also another centerpiece of 1989, as we now learn from the Taylor's version, is that there was also a huge part of LA infused in that album. But the original album was mainly New York. But she starts in LA, and she is this really talented woman who is struggling. And this is a kind of coming of age about her growing and becoming the person she needs to be. She goes to New York and starts to become the person that she needs to be. I really loved this. This was a book club pick for my book club on Fable. I run a Taylor Swift themed book club where we match a book to a song, and this was actually for Welcome to New York. I just felt like this was such a Welcome to New York. Also, it does fully have like a line drop that says Welcome to New York, which I put in the group chat immediately, and I was like, you guys didn't see my vision. This was my vision. I really enjoyed this book. I love Eve Babbitt's. I also am a Joan Didion girl. I actually have the Joan and Eve book. It's behind Taylor Swift right now. And so I'm really excited to read that book as well. But I've really loved like Eve Babbitt's like imagery. This one again is I'm fighting for my life against the character. The character is making really bad decisions. It is not as much like Animals where I'm as passionate about this book. I think this book is really good, but there are some parts that like they just don't feel great coming from like a 2025 perspective. You would know if you've read it. The one kind of bad thing about liking older authors is sometimes they say stuff that you're like, oh, okay. Like in the Best of Everything by Rona Jaffe, there is a line where I was like, oh, Rona, no. But like also I have to remember that she's from a very specific time period. This kind of language was like totally acceptable to say. But I really loved this book as well. I just thought this was such a 1989. Even the title, I think people would argue is like so not 1989, but I actually think she was dealing with both of these things so heavily during 1989, but those were like kind of behind the scenes. Like her anger about sexism and not being treated as equally as her male counterparts. Like I think that rage, and like the title is evocative of feminine rage, which I think there's actually a lot of in 1989 that doesn't get talked about as much. It feels really evocative of Sex and Rage, the book. Also like the main character kind of, the reason I'm not saying her name is I just don't know how to pronounce it. It's Jacaranda, I think is how you say her name. She's so messy, and she really feels like a 20-year-old who's just kind of a hot mess, who's kind of trying her best to be her best self. And that feels very 1989 as well. Okay, that was all 13 books. Thank goodness that did not take as long as I was thinking it was. I was worried this was gonna be like a 50-minute video, but it looks like it's gonna be like 30. Okay, this is the first video in the Taylor Swift book club series. I am hoping that I'm able to put another one of these out in 2026, like right in kind of February. I do not know. It takes a really long time for me to read 13 books that I really think match. I think the next one would have to be Evermore, because that's the one that I have the most books for already, or maybe TTPD. I don't know. But thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, you can follow the channel. You can follow me on Fable. And that's all I got. Have a great day. Bye.